Welcome to the Irene and Hyman Kreitman Allion event. Ben-Gurion University of the Negev is truly grateful to Irene and Hyman Kreitman for their unwavering support since the university's early days. Their belief in higher education in the Negev inspired them to gather global support, with Hyman serving as chairman of BGU's Board of Governors. Over the past 30 years, their contributions have helped the university grow, including the creation of Kreitman Plaza, new school buildings, and the Kreitman School of Advanced Graduate Studies, which supports doctoral students. Through the Kreitman Fellowships, they have also helped talented doctoral and postdoctoral scholars, encouraging important research and career development. Irene and Hyman Kreitman's vision and generosity have helped countless students and projects at BGU. We are proud to remember them today at this special event with artist Zoya Cherkassky. Prior to introducing our honorary doctorate recipient, Zoya Cherkassky, I would like to take a moment to introduce myself and to reflect on my personal connection, both to Ben-Gurion University and to Zoya. My name is Maya Frankel-Tene. For the past 5 years, I have been a doctoral student at the Kreitman School of Advanced Graduate Studies and a proud recipient of the Kreitman Fellowship. My journey with BGU began even earlier, during my master's studies in the Department of the Arts. Being part of this event is especially meaningful for me. My academic path led me into the field of curating, where I had the privilege to developing a close professional relationship with Zoya. I first met her during a remarkable 2018 exhibition, Pravda, at the Israel Museum. I had the opportunity to drive her to one of the many gallery talks and meetings she held during this exhibition. I was gently informed that this would be something of a test drive, a chance to see whether we could actually work together. During that ride and in many conversations that followed, I came to know Zoya as a rare mix of unfiltered honesty, even when it's unpopular, and deep sensitivity, kindness, and generosity. Our professional collaboration began with a large-scale project centered on her childhood memories in Ukraine, which culminated in the curation of her solo exhibition, Soviet Childhood, at the Rosenfeld Gallery, and the publication of a book by the same title. Zoya Cherkassky is a central figure in Israeli art, known for her distinctive voice and innovative approach. Her work offers a powerful exploration of identity, belonging, and cultural memory, particularly through the lens of Russian-speaking immigrant experience in Israel during the 1990s. Her visual language draws from Western modernism, Russian and Soviet art, Japanese aesthetics, and Jewish symbolism. With humor, sharp social critique, and vivid imagery, she challenges norm and shed lights on unfold stories within Israeli society. In recognition of her outstanding contribution to Israeli art, Zoya was awarded the prestigious Sandberg Prize by the Israel Museum in 2020. I am pleased to invite Zoya Cherkassky to the stage to share her artistic journey with us.
Thank you, Maya, for such a beautiful introduction, and I'm really honored and excited to receive this degree from the BGU, and I'm really excited to be here. I've made like a little presentation, like I had to be short, so I'm showing just 2 projects right now. And it's sort of a roller coaster, because one is like really funny and the other one is very sad, especially on such day when the hostage, Idan Alexander, has been released from captivity. The first project I've decided to start with is called Pravda. And it's a show I've made in 2018 in the Israel Museum, and it was focusing on the story of Aliyah from former Soviet Union in the 90s. When I came myself with my family in 1991 from Kiev. And actually, it's like it's like a funny project, but it's also it's like sort of tragic comedy, because like it took me like 25 years to reflect on this event. And actually, it was, I think, the first time in Israeli art when this event was addressed so massively. And the show started with this image, which is called New Victims. And actually, it's showing my family, like me, my grandmother, my parents, and the last one is my grandmother, that she was not supposed to come. She didn't want to come. But then her husband died, and we sort of dragged her by force. So she was like not happy about it. And in our first rented apartment in Tel Aviv, she was like sitting and looking at planes landing in Ben Gurion Airport, coming to a Ben Gurion Airport, and she was like saying, "New victims, new victims." And this is what gave. I was like mad because I came to integrate, and she was like destroying it. So this was gave the name to this painting. Yeah. This is a little bit small, but this actually a diptych, which was like the central piece for this project, which was supposed. In the beginning, I was like planning to make it as images that they do like before and after, like in plastic surgeries, for example. And here it's like before and after the immigration to Israel, and it's like the curator of this show, Amitai Mendelssohn, he said there are like classic paintings of hell and paradise, and he said like in this case it's hell and hell. And actually it's like one part is called 91 in Ukraine, and the second part is called Friday in the Project, which is like actually in Beersheva. It's like Shikun, what's the name? Gimel? Dalet, yes, Dalet in Beersheva. I especially traveled to depict this location. And as you can see, it's like Bruegel-like paintings with like horrors that happen like in Soviet Union that was like falling apart, and in like sort of like a difficult neighborhood in like it's in Beersheva, but it could be whatever, because like obviously the new immigrants came to neighborhoods where they where they were able to pay for. This is the Beersheva story. There is like a I don't know, it's like a little bit small. There is like a fight between the Russian and the Moroccans, and there is like junkies injecting in the entrance, and there is like Subaru Leone, which is called the crime Subaru in the 90s, coming from behind, and also there is like a missile coming to finish this this disgrace. And in Ukraine is no better. There is like abandoned construction building, and there was like a lot of street crime at that time. And there is like a man showing his privates to little girls, because like this is something that I was like seeing every day when I was coming back from school. And on the background there is like two demonstrations, like the Soviet ones, like the one that tries to preserve the Soviet Union, and the rising Ukrainian independent nationalist movement. There was like a putsch in 1991, and actually, like when we came to Israel just 2 weeks after the Soviet Union collapsed. So for me, it's like very easy to know what was before and what was after, because like what was after my Aliyah, it was already not the Soviet Union. And here it's like the moment when when we woke up in this August day in 91, and we've seen Swan Lake, Bali on all the 3 national channels. And in Soviet Union, if you see Swan Lake on all the channels, you understand something bad happened, but you don't know yet what, because like they just put it before they decide how to explain it to the citizens. So here is like the mother and the daughter, that they see it, and they like they understand like something is really bad. And actually, there is like signs I used in this painting to to make it belong to this particular year, because the girl is wearing school uniform, like Soviet school uniform. Even that it was August, I like lied a little bit to make it, to define the time, because after 91, there was no school uniform like that, and before 91, there was no Gucci shirts that was brought from Turkey, and it was like, you know, any good firm that you can think about. It was like Gucci, Chanel, like whatever. This painting is called Fucking Hebrew. There's like a family that they immigrated because they immigrated because of that child. They didn't really need it. So they're like struggling to learn Hebrew, and the grandfather gave up without trying. So he's like reading a newspaper called Russian Israel, and there is like bad news for him. They say like soon all the retirement money will be cut. And the woman has this crazy shirt on her, because at that time Soviet people didn't know languages. So sometimes I remember I traveled to Kiev like shortly after I immigrated, and then I've seen like a really cute grandpa wearing t-shirt with like animal on it. This painting is called Bamba. It's like it's impossible to see on this photo, but she has like a music key in her ear, like a real earrings, because she's a musician, but she has to work in cleaning. I think like majority of post-Soviet immigrants went through this type of jobs. And on TV they have like this Zeuze TV show, but it's also sort of ironic comment, like that's it. But she will be okay. This painting is called The Rabbi's Deliquium, because it's like depicting a scene of like Giyur, because like many families, like there are many mixed families, like my own even, that had to go through procedure of Orthodox Giyur because like if the woman is not Jewish, then the children will be Jewish as well. And many people like went through it. Like there is like a young family that is going through this Giyur process, and they are trying. They have like a challah bread and like Shabbat book, like about how to do Shabbat at the table, but they are not very experienced yet. So they cook this stew with the pork, and the rabbi, it's like probably the first time he's seen it so close. So, and there is also like little jokes all around. There is like a little box with Madane Mizra, which is not non-kosher kibbutz, in the fridge. And there is Crystal Cola, which is the cola that like Soviet immigrants, Orthodox Jews and Arabs drink. There is also a little bit paintings that depict like the life in Soviet Union before its collapse. Like there was like martial arts were very popular, and like all these movies with Bruce Lee suddenly were available in the Soviet Union. And I had like cousin that was like exercising this nunchaku all the time. And my grandmother, she was like really afraid when he was doing it, because she was afraid that he would kill himself. And this painting is called Jaffa Dalet, and this is like sort of like autobiographic. The one with guitar used to be my boyfriend. And there was like a Russian rock club in Jaffa Dalet, and it's like a depiction of cultural clash, because there is like these Soviet kids that like don't really know where they are, and there is like this Muslim woman on the background. It's like two worlds that like were like joined by some historic event that like brought them together. And this was a painting of, like, this is a portrait of my grandparents. They already died, but in their apartment in Kiev, they used to have this collection of crystals, which is like very typical for Soviet home. And like I still have them all. Like my mother took them, and like I made this still life, and then I understood that on the background there should be my grandparents. This one is called Maverick, and this like young punk boy that is living behind the closet because like the Soviet apartments, so they were like sometimes small, so they like sort of build like another room for a child who is growing. This is called karate. It's like similar to the nunchaku painting. And this is like my early memory of going to school when it's like still cold and snowing outside. This is the cloakroom before the sports lesson. And this is like traumatic experience of every Soviet child because like they had this toilet when like was no doors. So like you could like do what you need to do without like being excluded from the conversation between your friends. And actually, like I've been there last time just before the war, and they still have it. It's like like for this show, actually, I went so deep into my memories from Soviet times that I like decided to rebuild the Soviet interior in my studio. Like I had this opportunity. This is my husband on the left, and my gallerist Zaki Rosenfeld helping me to build this Soviet interior, which was like the most important part of it is the carpet on the wall. And this is how it was in the show in the Rosenfeld Gallery. And everybody was like really excited. This is my mom in the pink shirt. And one of my friends, she was like so happy to see this folding bed, so she just got inside and she was like actually it was like sort of place to take selfies. And now like I'm going to switch the mood like 180 degrees because this is the second project I brought for today, and this is like one of my recent projects, which was like made in the month following the events of 7th of October. And actually, when it happened, like in the first moment when like I learned that something is going on, I thought it like happened only in Kibbutz Be'eri, and like I didn't even know yet how big this event was. And the first thing I thought was the painting of Guernica. Like in this morning, I published Guernica, Picasso's Guernica, on my Facebook page, and then step by step we understood how. I mean, we still don't know like exactly what like all the details, but in the beginning, it was like so confused. Like nobody even like could understand what's going on. And I took my daughter, who was like 8 years old, to Germany. Like we just sort of fled to Germany together with her, like a couple of days after 7th of October. And actually, like I was like so shocked and like didn't know like who I am anymore. But like the only thing I could do is in such situation is like draw. And unfortunately, it is already the second time that I have such experience, because when the war in Ukraine started, it was like very similar feeling, because in the first months I could draw only like things based on events of the war in Ukraine, but this time it was like so much closer. So like I started this series of drawing, which was end up as like 12 drawings, all made in the first month after the massacre of 7th of October. And the first drawing was this like it was like sort of reaction to Guernica, because there is this lamp. It's like direct quotation from Guernica, and it's like people hiding in a shelter. And this one is like it's all like based on this like endless photos that were like coming on social media. And this is these kids running from the Nova Music Festival. I tried not to depict like specific people in this series, because like I think the trauma of this event is that it could happen to any one of us. Like anyone could be at this festival, or anyone could be in one of these kibbutzim. So like I wanted to make it like generalized, but this is the only image that is depicting specific children, and at this point, we knew only about 18 children kidnapped, and then we learned there is more than 30. But at this point, these are the children that we knew about them, and the three in the center, the Bibas kids, and Tomer Arava, who was shot unfortunately by the IDF, was mistaken for a terrorist, and all the rest, fortunately, are back, but the three in the center, they are dead. And there was these photos of women being kidnapped, and I think it took me maybe a year to understand that there are this famous photo from Lvov pogrom in Ukraine in 1941 that there is these photos of women being chased and kidnapped and beaten up, and somehow it took me a year to understand that there is a lot of similarity between these photos and these images. This is, I guess, the worst situation. I mean, yeah. And it was it happened on Simchat Torah, and there is sort of Simchat Torah in the kibbutz. This is actually based on a story about these children found in a Pesi house, but then we learned that it was not a real story. This is I think this kidnapped young soldiers that just began their service. I mean, now they're the one who were in captivity, they are back. But at that point, I could not stop thinking about them. And there was a story of children who survived in a closet when the whole family was murdered. So this is my last series of drawings, and I really hope to see all the hostages back soon and end of this war. Yeah, I'm sorry that I'm finishing in such a yeah.
Okay, we need to take a breath. Okay. Thank you so much, Zoya, for sharing your incredible art and journey with us tonight. Your work has truly inspired us all. A heartfelt thank you to everyone attending this special event. As we transition to the next part of our evening, I invite you to join us for the Celebrating 50, the spirit-leading Israeli Healthcare Gala for the Health Sciences Faculty 50th anniversary. The event will take place in front of the Rachel and Max Jevitt Medical Simulation and Classroom Building. Thank you again, and enjoy the rest of the night.